lovelies, and welcome back to another video.
Everywhere I go, I'm plant-based dripping.
So today is part 2 of my set point and finding your ideal weight video. If you haven't seen part 1 already, I will leave a link in the description box down below. Make sure you watch that one first. If you are new to my channel, my name is Alice. I make videos about eating disorder recovery, personal development, health, wellness, nutrition, veganism, fashion, and more. So if that sounds good to you, don't forget to subscribe. Today I'm going to be answering the questions, so if set point theory is real, how come there are people who are morbidly obese? Are they genetically meant to be at that morbidly obese weight? I'm also going to be talking about how to lose weight back down to your set point that you were genetically supposed to be at without calorie restriction. So one issue that I have with the mini mod community is that they do ignore a lot of facts and a lot of science about nutrition, and for example do not acknowledge why we have a obesity epidemic, and they do not acknowledge that it is possible to override your set point. In the last 30 years we've seen a massive rise in obesity, we've seen a massive rise in heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, and that is due to the standard American diet. When we see people from other countries coming to Canada or the USA, we see them gain weight. So according to set point theory, shouldn't they be able to maintain their body's set point? In the previous video, I talked about how our body has regulatory mechanisms that allow us to maintain the set point that we were genetically supposed to be at. But due to environmental factors and due to lifestyle factors, our set point can be overridden. This is because when we are not eating a species-specific diet, when we are eating a lot of junk foods and processed foods and foods that don't allow us to be able to listen to our bodies, we can gain weight above our set points. But I recognize why people in the mini mod community and these other communities do not want to talk about this, because depending who you're talking to, you don't really want to stress these facts to people, for example, who are recovering from dieting or recovering from an eating disorder, because it is important for people recovering from an eating disorder or dieting to not be afraid of foods and be willing to eat processed food. So that's why it's really a balance, and that's why it's hard to speak generally, because I would tell different things to different people depending on their situation. For people recovering from anorexia, for example, they may have a very small stomach, they may have a very weak digestive system, so it is probably not a good idea for them to suddenly just be trying to eat whole plant foods, for example, that are very high in fiber and water. And also, if someone is not used to eating large volumes of food, it is very hard to get enough calories on a whole food plant-based diet. So for that person, it is very important to allow themselves to eat processed foods. Also, for people who are coming from orthorexia and who are used to very, very clean eating, it is very important for them mentally to be able to eat their fear foods and to be able to eat a wide range of foods. But then again, there is a balance in the long term. In the long term, we don't want to only be eating processed foods or only eating animal products or only laying on the couch and not doing any movement whatsoever. It is due to those reasons that we are seeing an obesity epidemic, that we are seeing these health conditions arise, and it is the reason why people can override their set points. But again, it's such a balance, because in eating disorder recovery, it is so important to not feel guilty about not exercising. It is so important to rest, and it is so important to eat the foods that you crave. So keep in mind, depending on your life situation, different things are going to be healthy for you at different times. One thing that is really interesting is that our body really likes homeostasis. So when people, for example, who may have never had an eating disorder and they're living a lifestyle that has caused them to override their set point to perhaps the obese range or morbidly obese range, their body may find a new settling point there, a new homeostasis, and will find a way to perform as optimally as it can at that higher weight. So what happens is when, for example, a person who is overweight or obese is put on a severe calorically restrictive diet along with over-exercising, their metabolism will slow down and their body will do whatever it takes to try to get them back up to that settling weight where they were at. The perfect example of this is The Biggest Loser. There's a study that has been done that shows what happens when these participants who originally come to the show are overweight or obese and they suddenly go on these very calorically restrictive diets and they are doing an insane amount of exercise for their bodies. What happens to their bodies as they lose weight and what happens in the long term? These participants have gone back up to that weight and in most cases have gained even more weight above their previous weight. What's interesting is that say there's someone who is 180 pounds who has never restricted calories before and has never overworked their body in order to maintain that weight. Then say there's another person who goes on to a weight loss show and starts at 250 pounds. They are put on a very strict diet and are made to over-exercise until their weight drops down to 180 pounds like this person. But what's really interesting is that this person's metabolism can be about half of the metabolic rate that this person has because this person calorie restricted down to this weight, whereas this person never calorie restricted before. So what happens is this person is going to continuously have to eat half the amount of calories that this person eats in order to maintain that weight of 180 pounds. Now, in order to restore their metabolic rate and heal the damage that they have done through caloric restriction and over-exercising, their body is going to fight to take them back up to that settling weight where they had previously maintained homeostasis. That's why we always see people gaining back up to their previous weight, usually plus more, because they had slowed down their metabolism and their body wants to take them back up to that weight where it was previously at homeostasis. So what's interesting is that even though this person at 250 pounds may be above their genetic set point range that they were genetically supposed to be at, their body will still take them back up to that weight because that is the weight that its body was previously happy at and maintaining homeostasis. So how do we go back down to our set point that our body was genetically supposed to be at? This person is not going to be able to go further back down to their set point unless they build back up their metabolism again and heal their body from the damage that they did from over-exercising, restricting calories, and not listening to their body. They will likely have to gain back up to their weight plus more, even though that's technically in the overweight or perhaps obese range for that person. So once that person has returned to their homeostasis, it is only then that they are able to start doing things the right way and start going back down to their set point naturally. So how do you go back down to your set point naturally with no calorie restriction? We listen to our bodies, we eat a species-specific diet, and we live an overall healthy lifestyle. So by species-specific diet, I mean eating a predominantly whole food, plant-based diet, because these are the foods that are super nutrient dense and full of fiber and water, and that really allow us to listen to our body and gives our body all the nutrition that it needs in order to heal and in order to perform optimally. When we eat a standard American diet full of a lot of processed food, animal products, junk foods, a lot of these foods are high in sugar, salt, and oil, which are very hyperpalatable and can hijack the reward system in our brain and cause us to overeat past the point of satiation and past the point that we would normally eat if we were following a plant-based diet. In addition, eating a plant-based diet full of lots of nutrient-dense, high carbohydrate, whole foods is what gives us the most energy and what gives us that feeling of wanting to move our bodies and be active in a way that's enjoyable and sustainable. A plant-based diet has also been shown to increase metabolic rate, so this is really going to help us get back down to the set point that we were genetically supposed to be at. It's also so important to listen to our bodies, and when we are tired, it's so important to rest. When we feel the desire to move, it's so important to move in a way that's enjoyable, but also that's not going to overwork our body. The reason why it's important not to overwork our body is because overworking ourselves themselves causes our body a lot of stress, which is not going to help your body to lose weight back down to its set point. So just expanding on stress, it is so important to live a lifestyle that is low stress. So anywhere in your life that you can reduce stress is so important for living a healthy lifestyle and going back down to your set point. That's why things such as meditation and yoga, going on walks in nature can be so beneficial for reducing stress and living a healthy lifestyle and going back down to your set point. Also, all the things that we already all know about, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, moving our body when we feel like it, those are all things that are going to help us go back down to our set point naturally. I would say the most important thing for going back down to your set point though is diet, the foods that you are eating. Eating nutrient-dense foods is probably the most important thing because as we all know, you can't work off a bad diet. That's part of the reason why I feel like I don't fully fit into the Haze movement, body positivity, mini mod, that kind of group of people. They're definitely turning a blind eye to some issues that we're seeing today. While I agree with probably like 80% of what Minimod promotes, I definitely don't agree with everything. There's definitely a balance in between these two groups, and I think that balance is going to look different for everyone, and everyone has to experiment to find what makes them feel their best and what's going to bring out their healthiest, most vibrant, energetic self. I'm going to be doing a video very soon on why a lot of people experience an overshoot in their set point weight after a period of semi-starvation. So definitely stay tuned for that video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave your comments and questions in the comments down below. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and until next time, peace out guys. Bye.
Everywhere I go, I'm plant-based, dripping. Got 'em woke the new Bruce Lee. Roy, I got the glow. Kicking knowledge to your chick, I let her swim until she soaked. Boy, she trying to